Yep.
And then this last example is from me,
Amazing.
and I like made this montage. So this is something that I do all the time, especially
Mm,
when I'm making content that's more, I guess, raw. Like I don't
yeah.
really script it out too much. I took a bunch of videos over the course of my summer, and
Mm,
my friends and I were doing like uh, some orchestration for a piece that I did for like a USC film.
nice.
And I was reviewing the work that my friend did for me. And I thought it was like a good opportunity to talk about why I felt so insecure about
Mm.
doing orchestral music and how I always felt like an imposter, basically, because I felt like I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh, story of
So,
my life over here.
classic story. Yeah,
I
exactly.
feel like everybody feels like that a little bit.
Yeah.
Listen to one John Williams cue and it's like, oh, I suck.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, I put together this montage and I was like, okay, what advice would I give to my younger self? So you could easily do this. Like imagine young Josh studying to become a composer. Like what did he need to hear back then?
Yeah.
And knowing what you know now. So like to make this kind of real, it was really just like collecting random clips of me working on my
Mm.
phone on this
Okay.
one specific project, and then basically writing out some kind of script. And the script doesn't really resemble like an essay. It resembles more like a journal entry. Like I'm
Okay.
literally just putting thought to paper and thinking like, okay, I have young Cheska in front of me right now.
Yeah.
What do I say to her?
Right.
So this is something that you can do really easily. I did everything in this video actually in the Instagram app. I didn't use CapCut back then.
Oh wow.
CapCut is way better with like rendering and like saving your work. It's
I
the
mean, this already
Instagram
looks
app
great.
is really finicky. Yeah. So you can use CapCut for this, and then
Okay.
just make sure to place the captions in a place that doesn't get blocked by um, all the all the information down here. Because like although this is desktop and you can't see it on
Yep.
mobile, there will be like my profile here, and then like the beginning of the comments
Yeah.
section here, and then like the like the share and like those icons on the side.
Hmm.
So just make sure that it's not like being blocked by that.
Okay.
You're either gonna go for the lower third or for like the upper third up here. That's the best place to put
To put the captions.
captions. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool.
that's one. And like you can get as crazy with it as you want. Um and of course like steal any idea that you think is cool. Like no one cares. It's okay. If you like
Nice.
something from Tom, Unica, or me, like doesn't matter. Just take it and make it your own because
Yeah.
it's just social media.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the three kinds of content. Does
I
anything
love
come
it.
to mind when you think like what would young Josh want to see?
Oh, man. There's a bunch of things that immediately pop up. It's like, you know, what would young me want to see? Probably how to get started, I guess
Hmm.
would be something. How to get started as a composer from zero, from like
Hmm.
ground zero, I guess. Like um how to begin learning about writing film music.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. I mean, there's a lot of sub things within that sort of category. It's like listening to your favorite composers and writing in their style, which I guess relates to the types of videos that I was talking about potentially doing,
Hmm.
like transcribing. Yes.
What about your insecurities that you mentioned? What would you tell young Josh about being insecure with your
Oh,
music?
that's a good one. Um, I mean, I guess young me or older me would tell young me that it's okay to not know everything and just kind of get started, and it's all a process.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. You don't need every sample library. One string library is probably enough to start. Although I use many. Yeah, I don't know that I feel like that's I would have to think about, what else.
Yeah, these are all great
Gear, I guess
ideas.
would be another thing. It's like, a pair of headphones and a laptop is enough to really get started as a film composer. And probably an audio interface,
Yeah. Skill over gear for sure.
Skill over gear, 100%. Yeah, prioritize skill over gear is another thing I would tell my younger self.
Yeah, so I would love to see all three of these kinds of content from you, but
Yeah.
you're welcome to choose whichever one you feel like you have time to dedicate to this week. Other than that, do you have any questions before we move on to your outreach strategy?
So I guess a few. So the videos that you sort of like for the montage, one example of yours that you showed me, was that like a whole bunch of videos, short videos that you sort of edited together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those videos were all over the course of the summer. So I was, out and about, and then I probably took like a 5-second video, 10-second video, and like thought nothing of it.
Mm.
And then when I edited it together, I think I put it chronologically, but I also tried to match it to what I was saying.
Mm.
Sometimes what I do is I'll edit the montage. I'll just like throw it together, like chronologically.
Yeah.
And then based on how I feel watching it, I'll start to write like what I want to say about it.
Oh.
And then while it's playing and the voiceover is happening, I'm kind of like looking at what's happening on screen and then like talking as it like shows up. I'm like, okay, I know the orchestral prep part is coming up next. Like I'll make sure that I pause just before it and I say that part about blah blah blah. So I guess it's like it feels like not everyone does it that way. Sometimes I just like stare at the video and I just start talking. I'm like ready, set, go, and I'll just like start like blabbing. But I try to make those kinds of videos as like unscripted and loose as possible because I want to give people a better sense of what I'm like.
Yeah.
And sometimes
make it feel natural.
Yeah, sometimes reading off of a piece of paper doesn't really do the job, and I'm not an actor. Like I don't know how.
Oh yeah, same. I'm not at all. I will never be an actor. Completely not my thing.
Yeah. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah. I think that's a good place to start.
Okay, and then we'll jump into an outreach strategy that I want to add onto what you already do.
Yeah.
So I know when we talked, you told me you really wanted to do more films, specifically animated and probably like action thriller kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I have ideas for animated films, and awesome. This is based off of studying Zach Heidi and like the way that his career kind of panned out.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of show you some rabbit holes that I found.
I like rabbit holes.
I was thinking about this. I was thinking about you when I was looking at these things.
Oh,
so,
amazing.
So recently, I was interested in production companies that were small enough that they would be found on places like YouTube, but not big enough that it would be a significant barrier for like an unknown composer to like enter.
I still consider, by the way, myself sort of an unknown composer.
Yeah, like unknown in the sense that like unless you did additional music, like you would pretty much never, like I don't want to say never, but like it would be very hard to get that gig.
Right.
So
no, 100%.
Focusing on indie productions, I think, was my focus here, and I think I started looking up animation studios or something. I looked up independent animation studio,
Oh,
And
okay.
I started to look at people who are posting content about that.
Mm.
This guy specifically, he he shared a story about a studio he started and how it failed, which is like kind of like, man, that sucks. This would have
Yeah.
been great if it could have led to work for you. But what I found is that he seems to be someone in the educational space
Mm.
within the animation industry. And so
Mm.
I was imagining, okay, the people that are coming to watch his content are people who are interested in starting animation studios or
Yeah.
probably already have one and are trying to basically improve their business.
Mm.
And so if I were you, I would try to dig around and find people who are in this space, either in his community, and he has an animation Discord. Like I haven't personally been there,
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah,
I
good point.
imagine that could be a place to look.
I've used Discord a little bit in the past couple months, like
Mhm.
trying to reach out to like some more game developers, and I haven't had much success doing that because it was mostly like through game jams, like
Yeah.
those Discords, and
Mhm.
that's pretty hit or miss,
Yeah.
especially online. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll look into doing that.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there's a couple of other people on YouTube. This guy actually started one, and it appears to still be going. This was
And
two
it's
weeks ago.
alive.
Yeah. So I would reach out to him, and he talked about some of the clients that he has, the work that he's doing.
Hmm.
So I would go to his profile and like just dig around. He doesn't have an email, unfortunately, but it looks like this might be the name of his
Cool.
studio. So that could potentially be something.
Wow.
And I know Zach has done this because I've looked up some of the projects that he's talked about
Yeah.
in the composer education space, and he's like, oh, this gig that I had, like this is how I did the music for it. But then
Yeah.
when I looked up the client, I found their YouTube channel, and I
Hmm.
saw that something similar to this, basically. So
How did you come across? This is amazing. How did you come across this guy? Did you just was this from looking up on YouTube
yeah,
animation studio? Wow.
I literally looked up independent animation studio, and I just like started going through the thing.
Wow.
This person, I wish he was still posting, but he's not because he was trying to help other people start an animation studio. So
Oh,
that would have been
okay.
like a gold mine, like, oh, a lot of startups basically.
Right.
So I was trying to look
This is
there,
genius.
but yeah,
I feel
that's
like
one of the rabbit holes.
a lot of my research has come from like IMDb, but
Uh-huh.
it's such a rabbit hole. IMDb. There's so much like trash to sort through on there. Because it's like
Yeah.
I'll find a project and it like hasn't been updated in 3 years. I'm like, well, next one.
Yeah, you should definitely add YouTube to that list because you can see like it's a lot more recent.
Yeah, this is great.
Another thing I would add to that is like YouTube channels that are currently curating films that have been made in the
Mm,
past like year and like
yeah.
even really recent, like 15 hours ago.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
these are I would say this channel is mainly geared towards dramas,
Okay.
but
I think I actually I scored a short or two that are on Omeletto.
yeah, so let's say let's say maybe like sci-fi or animation
Yeah, definitely.
down here. Like what you could do is watch the film, and when you approach the director, talk about their film and like what you enjoyed about it basically.
Yep, I love it.
And
That's like something Robbie talked about in
yeah,
his thing too. Yeah, amazing.
and then you could find their contact info here. So
Oh, yeah,
um
okay.
this is probably the name of the director or the producer maybe, and this
Yep.
is probably their production company. So I hate it when I can't access their website.
Yeah,
But
it
another thing
happens.
you could do is actually to
Google them.
basically, yeah, Google or go on Instagram or even go all the way to the credits and find other names
Mm,
associated with the production. And
yeah,
basically just be a detective and find the name of the person you need to find and then
yeah.
contact them.
How often does like a cold DM for you lead to like a conversation? Is it like one in 20, one in 50, one in 100? like on average?
Yeah. So I kind of go through like seasons of like being super on top of it, and then seasons of like crickets. Like it
Yeah,
takes a lot of effort to get a response.
yeah,
Um, Generally, I think it's just something that you have to be doing all the time, and it's something to practice.
got it.
It's kind of like when you're out of touch with your instrument for a while, like
Yeah,
it takes a while to get back into
get
it.
back into the swing of things. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's kind of where I am right now, especially since we just came off of like holiday season.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm kind of like slowly getting getting warmed up
Makes sense.
again.
Okay, yeah,
So it really depends.
okay.
Sometimes it happens and it's just wonderful, and then other times,
Does not. Yeah,
yeah,
understood. Understood.
yeah. Okay, and then I guess the one other person that I found was this guy, if his thing will show up. So
Oh yeah, this looks
what
great.
did I find out about him? So he is an animated film director, and he's basically he's worked with bigger clients, but I think his online presence was small enough that I felt like he was approachable.
Mm,
And it looks like he's in the education space as well, and it's a priority for him to give back, which is cool. I
yeah,
always like filmmakers that do a bunch of different things sometimes.
yeah, totally.
So I imagine once you get your content like up and running,
Yeah.
and I would try to like contact him or express some kind of support for the work that he's done, and just
Mm,
show that you've done your homework. And I also like to see how recently they posted. He posted really recently, so that's cool. And then I want to see that he's still active and he's doing animation, which he is.
yeah.
So that's cool. Um, yeah, I would contact him and try to strike up a conversation. Find out what his
Do you
favorite
think like
cartoons are.
Instagram? Do you
Hmm?
think like oh yeah, that's smart. Do you think like Instagram would be a good place to reach out or
Yeah, so personally, I love to use Instagram over cold email
yeah,
because there's such a like a personable aspect to it. Like you see the
yeah,
person's face, you get to, unless you're private, like your private account, of course, like you get to
right.
see about their work, their life, their personality.
Yeah.
So as you start to post content, I want you to think about what this guy specifically would think of what you're posting,
Mm, okay.
because
Good point.
sometimes it's like a matter of making yourself more approachable rather than trying to be the most impressive.
Yeah.
Because I imagine, Josh, like if I was Howard and I went to your profile and I saw that you were an award-winning composer, I'd be like, oh man, I haven't won any awards. I feel so insecure right now.
Feel free to like if you have ideas on how I can improve like my profile. I'm very open.
Okay, let's do it.
Obviously, yeah, I'm very open to changing things. I've also been thinking about like potentially shortening my Instagram name to like maybe Josh G Composer
Hmm.
because it's a little long with my full last name. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think at this point, uh, it's up to you. It should be, as you expand your social media presence, I would want to make sure that it's something that you can have on all platforms, and it's like easy to find and easy to
Okay,
remember. That's the only thing. It is a little bit of like an alphabet soup,
a
looking
little
at
bit.
like
Yeah,
your whole name and then
I
composer
agree.
at the end.
Yeah.
But it's actually smart to have either music or composer like associated with your name. So for
Yeah.
some people, it's like in this area here. For other people, it's the actual like
The
handle.
handle, right?
You could actually just put it by your name if you
Oh, okay.
wanted, because it's pretty clear you're a composer.
Yep.
Regarding your bio, I think it's great that you have like social proof here that you've worked on like projects that are on big networks. The only
Yep.
thing is that I would want to change this to something more personal and like
Mm,
approachable,
yeah.
for the reason that I shared, because anyone can win an award. Like I
Agreed.
want to know what only Josh can do. Like what is only specifically Josh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for my profile, I
Don't want to be
put
generic.
yeah. So I put that I had a background in science before I
Right.
became a film composer, and that's unique to me. And I like to say all the time that the only other composer scientist I know is like Benjamin Franklin, and he wrote like a drinking song, maybe like one song. It's like really silly. But and then also I want to highlight on like for my profile the fact that I document my journey, and also because my science background, I'm used to taking notes on like everything and
Yeah.
trying to piece together some kind of idea.
Yeah.
And then of course like you want to make sure that people know how to reach out to you and work with you. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea to put that your your what your service is. Like
Okay.
I'm for me it's film scoring or one to
Yeah.
one. So
Right.
that's what's in my bio. And then with being contacted, basically making it as easy as possible for people to know what to do next. So
Mm.
for for like my students and people in my community, other composers, I direct them here, like learn more from me. And then
Okay.
for filmmakers, it's work with me. So
Yeah.
they would click like, let's chat about your project. And then they basically like fill out this form. And
Oh yeah. That's great.
this form was taken from Zach Heidi. I copied his. And
Nice.
like I know he knows that I'm always like learning from him, even when he's not like actually teaching.
Yeah.
So basically making it as easy as possible for people to take that next step and work with you. Even for
100%.
composers that are probably hiring for additional music, like making that as easy as possible
Yeah.
is a good idea.